Hello everyone and welcome back to the Politics GC. So we took a pretty long hiatus after the 2024 election. It wasn't planned or anything, it just worked out that way. But now we're ready and excited to be back in the cycle of politics and content and everything surrounding it, with making videos on, say, the Trump administration's new executive orders or the new bills or optics in Congress now that Republicans control both chambers, very early 2026 election predictions, and special election videos like this one. Basically anything and everything relating to politics in 2025. So we're going to be much more consistent with our content as well. So if any and everything, if that interests you, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell and check in when we have new uploads, which again is going to be much more frequently, and we promise you won't be disappointed. So without further ado, let's just get into today's video. So today I want to talk about Florida's 1st congressional district. They are having a special election on April 1st of this year, of course, and this election is pretty crucial as it's going to fill the seat vacant by Matt Gaetz, who resigned in 2024 due to controversies around different allegations, and not to go too deep into that, but then also Trump selecting him to be his attorney general pick and then taking that back and everything like that. But Matt Gaetz has left. He held the seat since 2017, and this is pretty vital because the House is currently split 220 for the Republicans and 212 for the Democrats. There are currently 3 seats, I believe, that aren't filled yet and need special elections, so this is going to be one of the ones that's going to either dictate that the Republicans have an even stronger majority, or if the Democrats are able to catch up seat by seat. So, as a geographic overview of Florida's 1st, it's located in the western panhandle of the state, as you can see here, and it covers parts of Escambia, Santa Rosa, Oskaloosa, and Walton County is right over here, right under Alabama. And this is a very historically Republican district. The Cook Partisan Voting Index rated it R plus 19 in 2022, and since then it's only become more Republican. In 2024, Trump won the district with 68%, and then Gaetz was reelected with 66%. So obviously this is a very solid Republican district, but even so, I think it's still important to talk about. We pretty much know that the Republican is going to win, but I think it's still important to talk about since it shows where the Democratic Party's mind is at and what possible attempts or strategies can help the Democratic Party be lifted out of the kind of hellhole that they're in right now with everything that happened in 2024. So a bit of a fun fact about this district: the last time a Democrat represented the 1st congressional district was Bob Sykes, who held the seat from 1941 up until his retirement in 1979. So it's been well over 4 decades now that's been a stronghold for Republican candidates, and so the Democratic candidate in this race definitely has her work cut out for her. Now, speaking of which, let's get into the Republican candidates, or both candidates. So there was a recent primary held on June 28th of 2025, of course, and Jimmy Patronis emerges the clear frontrunner with nearly, as you can see here, 66% of the vote. And some background on him: Patronis is currently Florida's chief financial officer and has a strong political background overall. He also earned Trump's endorsement in this campaign, which brought him again to that 66% margin. His only competition, I guess you could say, the 10% isn't much competition, was Joel Rudman, who's a representative for the state legislature. Rudman kind of positioned himself more as a traditional conservative versus Patronis more as the MAGA base, and again getting that Trump endorsement when Trump won a vast majority of the district, as we saw 68% of the vote. And also Matt Gaetz, he's also very MAGA-like, and so Patronis was much more to the liking of voters. Now, on the Democratic side, there wasn't much of a primary. Gal Valimont ran uncontested, but a fun fact about her, I guess, is that she ran against Matt Gaetz in 2024, so in this recent election, and she garnered 34% of the vote, as you can see here. So still not much, but shows that there's at least some support in her area for her, and some things that she's known for, I guess, are advocacy on issues like gun control, healthcare. But again, her previous performance in this district particularly shows that she probably doesn't have much of a chance of winning. I mean, 0% if you're going to ask me overall. But still, I guess, I mean, this is the least you can get in any district for an opposite party. Like in the bluest areas of California and the reddest areas of Alabama, 34 is pretty much your baseline. But the thing to see here is if Democrats are going to position themselves in a better way to get, like, say 40%, because even that would be a massive increase for a district as red as the 1st congressional district is. And so we're going to have to see if this decreases, increases, because those are all telling about what Democrats' strategies are doing overall. And this should be studied, what Valimont is doing, grassroots and everything, for Democrats on larger scales as well. Also, as we know, the Florida Democratic Party has had a significant uphill challenge in recent years. Ever since Ron DeSantis has taken over, the state has gone from a swing state when Obama was running to now a pretty much solid red state. And so it's much harder for Democrats to win in any district, never mind the 1st, which is again a very red district overall. Now, as I was researching for this video, I was trying to find any info on, like, the funding for either of these candidates, Valimont or Patronis, but I wasn't able to find much, honestly, neither from Open Secrets or the FEC, both of which were pretty closed cases, and the numbers that they were showing were very low, like in the hundreds, and so I assume it's much more than that overall, even from just local crowdsourcing and whatnot. But it seems like there's no major, like, DNC or RNC push for either of these candidates. Definitely not a DNC one for Valimont overall, which I guess shows where their head is at. After the mess that was 2024 for the DNC, they're not going to waste their limited money and resources at this point onto candidates that they think have no chance of winning, which again, with winning 34% of the vote just a few months ago, it's pretty hard to see her winning much more than that against Patronis, which does have Trump's backing again. Now, there are a few key factors that we need to look at for this special election, which are unique to special elections. One, that an independent person, none of these people pose threats to Valimont, or most notably Patronis. Stephen Brodin is probably the one that poses the most, but again, still not, because in special elections we see even less of an inclination towards third party or independent candidates overall. And with, again, Patronis having Trump's backing, that's going to send significant waves in his district that's overwhelmingly in support of President Trump. We saw in 2022, if you can even stretch your mind back that far, that Trump's backing or endorsement didn't do much for many candidates, say Herschel Walker in Georgia or Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania. But now, I mean, back then, he didn't have much of his political future was still uncertain, mostly because of January 6th. But now that he's the president and his approval ratings are higher than they have ever been, his endorsement definitely does do a lot, especially in this, again, solid red district that voted for Trump just in incredible numbers. So Patronis is definitely going to have a much higher level up. Now, is he going to be more popular than Gaetz? I don't really think so. Gaetz has much of a more national claim to fame than does Patronis at this point, but then I don't know if that matters as much. Another thing to note for special elections is that they typically see much lower turnout than general elections, so it's important to see, are the same amount of voters going to show up for Patronis in the special election, or in the general elections? There are much more voters, obviously about 400,000 just in this one district, and so I'm assuming that a lot less Republicans are going to show up and more Democrats, because they're going to be more engaged with Valimont, or maybe the opposite could happen because they're demoralized because of what happened in 2024, or maybe they could get back up on their feet, because also when we're looking at this, April is a ways away. I'm recording this on February 20th, so it's still over a month away. By then, Trump could have become much less popular in the public's view, and Democrats are more have more energy and hope for the future at that point, and so more Democrats might show up, or the same number of Democrats that showed up for Valimont, or I mean, not the same, because again, it's still a special election, but meaning that the Republicans lose more voters than the Democrats, which could sway their proportions and make it better for Democrats overall. But still, I don't see any future in which Patronis does not win this election. Now, another thing just to notice is the political climate overall. Like I've been saying, Trump has the highest approval rating he's ever gotten, and so especially in a district this red, Patronis has a much higher likelihood of winning and securing that additional seat for the Republicans in the House, and Valimont just suffers a significant uphill battle that unless Trump just absolutely obliterates it on the national stage at some point, or something comes out about Patronis, which are both two unlikely scenarios, especially for this type of district. If it was a swing district, then it could be more likely, but there would have to be significant upheavals in the Republican Party overall for anything major to happen to swing her from 34% to over 50%. Now, in conclusion, I think Patronis is definitely heavily favored to win this special election, just given the district's historical voting patterns and his strong primary performance. Also, also overall with the national political climate and his district's strong inclination toward Trump. But Valimont's campaign could still provide like valuable insights into shifting voter sentiments and engaging in strategies for the future, but I don't see much of a future for her in Congress at this point. Now, this election will also serve as an important indicator for both party strengths heading into 2026 and the midterms then, and we'll be closely watching with political analysis across the country overall. Like I said, a lot more videos coming your way. So thanks for tuning in today, and make sure to comment down below your thoughts and what you think Valimont's strategy should be, or where Patronis' weak points maybe are. If you do live in this district, what are your thoughts on the ground? So thank you again for watching, and see you next time.